Ahoy hoy, I'm Planetwalk. Now, there are a lot of disingenuous flat earthers out there, but the question is always, which flat earther is the most disingenuous?
Quantum Eraser.
Not quite, Cats. Good guess though.
Fred.
My name is Dread!
I'm sorry, Cats, but you've already had your guess.
That guy.
Look, I said you've already... Actually, he's definitely in the running. So the flat earther that I think would probably have to be the most disingenuous would be RightTheHand. The reason being is because I made a video explaining to him why the scientific method is valid, then he took a little tiny bit of that video and used it to dismiss the entirety of the video. And here I thought that that guy was bad. RightTheHand is taking this to a whole nother level.
What up, RightTheHand here? This dumb fuck's gonna try and make me look stupid?
I mean, I don't really need to do anything to make you look stupid. You do that by yourself. I'm simply here to minimize the risk of brain damage to people watching this.
Go get him, Tiger!
So why does water boil? That is actually a good question, and I'm going to give an answer which is very simple, so some things may not be strictly correct.
Okay, so first he says some answers aren't going to be strictly correct. That's a word salad for some things will be wrong, which is word salad for I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, this is probably going to be wrong, and even I know it.
So there are two words there that are very important. The word may and strictly. So the word may, when used in a sentence, indicates that the next part of the sentence might be true or untrue. For example, if I say that I may go to the movies, I'm not saying that I am going to the movies, I'm indicating that there's a possibility that I'll go to the movies. Now, the word strictly is used in regards to the preciseness of what I said. If I were to be baking a cake using instructions, and I were to add 105 grams of butter when the instructions said 100 grams of butter, I'm not strictly following the instructions. Now, for an example, let's say I gave an explanation that had 75% of the facts, but omitted 25% of them. Is that explanation wrong? Not really. As long as I didn't include any incorrect facts in my explanation, that explanation is correct. However, being correct does not necessarily mean you are strictly correct. Because one person might say, well, strictly speaking, you should have 80% of the facts, or 90% of the facts, or 100% of the facts. Now, when giving that explanation, I knew that I would be omitting something, because it wasn't really relevant to the question being asked. Now, I could have gone ahead and given an explanation about how more atmospheric pressure means that there's more kinetic energy required to boil water, but my video wasn't about how water boils. And you know what? Even if I had have explained the role that the atmosphere plays, I still may not be strictly correct. And the reason for that is because there's stuff going on at the quantum level which explains why water boils. Now, I'm not even going to try and start explaining quantum mechanics to someone that doesn't believe that quantum mechanics are real. Giving a thorough explanation isn't always necessary. Imagine going to the doctor's office and the doctor asks, okay, how did you break your leg? And you say, well, I jumped off the trampoline and broke my leg. That's an alright explanation, right? However, giving an explanation like this, so when I jumped off the trampoline, I pushed myself with more force than what is in the standard range of force that I usually use to push myself off the trampoline, which meant that I was unprepared for the way that I landed, which was at a different angle to what I usually land at, so therefore I broke my leg because of that. That is completely unnecessary and wordy. Unless, of course, you're Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. Another thing worth mentioning is yes, I do get things wrong from time to time. I'm not perfect. It seems RightTheHand wants me to be correct 100% of the time and have a complete 100% knowledge of every little detail about what I'm talking about, which is completely impossible unless I were to actually be God. Does RightTheHand think I'm God? If so, worship me, bitch! That was only aimed at RightTheHand, not everyone else in my audience. I'm not that type of God. But they're correct enough for this explanation.
Okay, he just said correct enough. What the fuck does that mean?
It means that the answer that I'm giving has enough information for it to be useful in this particular scenario.
Let's see, let's try and call on a student and we'll get an answer. Timmy in the back, what's 2 plus 2? 2 plus 2 is 44. Well, I mean, I guess that's correct enough, right? He's got the 4 in there. Like, is it correct enough or is it wrong? It's wrong. There's no correct enough.
Now, I have a way better analogy for this, but I need something for it. This is an egg. Now, I want to know something about this egg, but to know that thing, I need a pie. More precisely, I need to know the value of pi. Oh, that's hot. Now, the value of pi is about $1.50 depending on what pie you get and what store you go to. But that's not the type of pi I'm after. I want to know the value of pi, which is a precise mathematical number which will help me figure out the diameter of this egg. That number, of course, is 3.14. Or is it? Ahoy hoy, P-Source, Nick here, and pi is irrational. That is to say that pi cannot be represented as a fraction where the numerator and denominator are both whole numbers. Most numbers can actually be represented this way. For example, 0.1 can be represented as 1 over 10. This still holds true for whole numbers, by the way, because whole numbers can be represented as a fraction as n over 1, where n is the whole number that you're wanting to represent as a fraction. Any number with a finite amount of digits can be represented as a fraction. Even some numbers which appear to have an infinite amount of digits, or at least in base 10 they do, can be represented as a fraction. So 0.111111 recurring can actually be represented as 1 over 9. If a number is irrational, it must have an infinite number of digits after the decimal point, because if it has a finite amount of digits after the decimal point, then it can be represented as a fraction where the numerator is that number without the decimal point and the denominator is 10 to the power of x, where x is the amount of digits after the decimal point. Here is a fun fact. In addition to pi and 2 squared, the golden ratio is irrational. Anyway, back to Planet Walk. So 3.14 is a correct enough value for pi if I want to figure out the diameter of this egg. If you wanted me to tell you the exact decimal value of pi, that would be impossible because there is an infinite number of digits in pi. Even if I were to just go ahead and list out every known digit of pi, that would take a long time seeing as it has 2.7 trillion known digits. So therefore 3.14 is close enough.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me I'm fucking stupid and I don't know what I'm talking about when you're going to lead with these answers aren't really right, but they're kind of good enough because the explanation is simple. Yeah, maybe you're not smart enough to keep up with me. That's why you have to dumb everything down for yourself and your audience.
RightTheHand. You were the one asking, why does water boil? No one knows why water boils. Those are not the words of someone smarter than me. Now, RightTheHand made a second video because people called him out on his bullshit saying, hey look, you responded to this small segment and you didn't actually respond to the points that I made. So in this video, RightTheHand tried to make a defense for being disingenuous.
RightTheHand, so how come I didn't address the rest of his video? Why did I purposely leave out the rest of his video? Because he starts off with his explanation is not strictly correct. So why do I need to listen to the rest of it, you dumb fucking idiot?
Because first off, the explanation was correct, just not necessarily strictly correct, and second off, the video wasn't about why does water boil, it was about why the scientific method is valid.
Then what good is the explanation if it's not correct?
I'm going to let 1 Minute Debunk explain this using part of one of his videos. And if you haven't gone and checked out 1 Minute Debunk, be sure to, he makes great content. I'll leave a link in the description.
Hey, 1 Minute Debunk. Me here. Perfect information is a red herring. Science improves in accuracy, how close an answer is to correctness, and precision, how specific an answer is. If values get revised or improved, then it doesn't mean that old values were wrong. They were just less right. Right? And as always, thanks for watching.
I feel attacked.
The information is not useful. He is telling us the information he is about to give us is not strictly correct. It is not correct.
Just because something isn't correct doesn't mean that it's not useful. But that would probably get into something like postmodern philosophy, which I don't want to do right now. But as I've stated multiple times in this video, the information that I gave was correct. It just may not be strictly correct.
And why does he use an explanation that's not strictly correct and simplified? Because apparently I'm dumb. So the problem is they need to break everything down into incorrect terms and then not be called out on those incorrect terms because of how stupid I am, okay? Yet here is a piece of paper from the New York City Department of Education which says that I am 99th percentile of every student in the nation. They tested me in mathematics, which is a standardized test of just brain capability when I was in 3rd grade, and I did better than 99% of the kids in the nation.
That is in 1992. That was 27 years ago. 3rd grade is 8 to 9 years old. Just because you do well when you're 8 years old for your age does not mean that you will do well continuously throughout life. I've known people that when they were 8 or 9, they were highly proficient at reading. However, they ended up dropping out of high school.
So who are you dumbing this down for? Because you're not dumbing it down for me, because I'm the top 1% of intellectual capabilities in comprehending and processing information when it comes to mathematical discernment.
Correction, you were in the top 1% when it came to maths. It doesn't mean you are now. And I used to be a dumbass when it came to maths. But I got better at maths and ended up in the top 10% of my region. So this was only 8 years ago and it was when I was 14. I think this might be just a little more indicative of intelligence than something from 27 years ago when you were 8. Now, do I believe that that shows how intelligent I am as a person? Absolutely the fuck not. 8 years have passed since then. And if I was still at that level, I would be disappointed in myself. Fortunately, I've graduated high school. And seeing as this somehow became a dick-waving contest about who's got the biggest galaxy brain, I have a diploma in IT, I have a certificate in technical computing, I have a diploma in game development, I have a bachelor in IT, and I also have a graduate diploma in audio production. To me, this one here is the more important one. The reason for that is because IT takes a lot of logic. It also takes a lot of mathematics. It's also from 2017, 2 years ago at an age of 21. So it's definitely far more indicative of my intelligence than some tests from 2011. And to actually add to this, the next year I went into the graduate diploma of audio production. And when I started that, I was a complete dumbass. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, because even though I had done well in IT, that doesn't mean that I can do well in everything. So even if RightTheHand is a complete maths genius, it doesn't make him good at science. So to recap, RightTheHand took a tiny portion of the video I made and responded to it. He couldn't actually explain why the answer that I gave was incorrect. He didn't actually respond to any of the actual points that I made, and he thinks that because he took a test in grade 3 that he's somehow smarter than everyone, even though he's clearly not gotten any smarter since then. And I've discovered that RightTheHand might in fact be CGI, but that's for the next video, so stay tuned. Also, for all you big-brained intellects out there, in the description I'll put a tweet which has a bit of a maths challenge in it. So take a look at that and see if you can solve it. So leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon if you like this video. Leave a comment letting me know how disingenuous you think RightTheHand really is. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons. TheSunExpress, What Jesus, Fight the Flat Earth, Holmes, Hugh Jarsz, MC.Nutkin, Robert Legere III, Wolfie, Stringer News 1, Ashpanash, Reynolds, Curvy New Yorker, Leo Banks, OneTrueChaos, and Syssiphus. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon, link will be in the description. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.
How can you see it? The atmosphere is who cooled it? Who cooled it? That's why you think things disappeared bottom up. Now you're starting to use that little brain you have. This fog sit on the surface of the earth, or does it get thicker the higher you up go into the atmosphere? What the hell did I just say then?
See, even if he's great at maths, he's terrible at English.